Korean people and Americans are stubborn in different ways. And I think each way has slight advantages and slight disadvantages. So, I told this story before in a video a couple of weeks ago, and actually I wanted to do a video like this at that time, but when I was making that video I got really sidetracked and I just thought like I had a new idea and I had to explain it at that moment, so I explained it in that video, which is, you can see it right there or something. There should be little things that popped out. Anyway, so here's what happened basically. I had a friend and she managed a medium-sized cafe, kind of small to medium-sized cafe. And I wasn't there when this happened, but she got a phone call and her employee was supposed to come in that night, and he said something like, is it okay if I don't come in tonight? And she said, why? And he had some really shitty, lame excuse. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like, because I have to go to a concert. Or something shitty like that. It wasn't like his mom was dying or something terrible. It was just, I have to, go to a concert, something stupid. So she said, no, I need you. You have a job and you have to work here. It's tonight. You need to come in. And he said, oh, okay. I quit. Now, it's super weird. And I think the reason why he was able to quit, and it's not common at all in America, and I think in Korea it's even not common, but I think it's more possible in Korea, and that's what I explained in my other video. That's like up in the corner right there. So anyway, so he quit, and then she was kind of screwed that night, but not super screwed. Because the way she explained it to me, the way I understood it was, during the day she would run the place by herself. It wasn't a huge cafe, but she could run it by herself during the day because it's just not that many people that go to a cafe on Tuesday at 1 p.m. In the evening, it got busier. On a weekday in the evening, it would get kind of busy, so she needed somebody else to help her. But she could do it by herself. It would just kind of suck, and she would work too hard, and maybe the service would kind of suck for the people, or it wasn't a good situation. It was good to have a helper there, for sure. And on the weekends, it was really packed, and she basically needed 3 people, including herself. I think she said she could do it with 2, but 3 makes it really smooth and everything runs well and how it should. And I think she said she could even do it, like when I was most busy, she could even do it by herself, but things would run really shitty and like customers would not have a good time and she'd be in over her head, and it just wasn't a good idea to be all by herself. So after I heard this, I said, okay, well, I have a little idea. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but let me share my idea with you. That's what I said to her. And I said, I know in Korea you guys pay absolute minimum wage to Arbeit workers, right? Why don't you try paying someone man-won? And my idea was, if you pay a Korean Arbeit worker, some guy in his 20s or whatever, if you pay him man-won, he's going to be super excited. Okay, that worker is going to be ecstatic. He's going to be shocked. He's like, oh my God, he's going to tell his friends. That night he's going to kakao message his girlfriend or his buddy. Oh, I got a new Arbeit. I make man-won. It's so great. He's going to be so happy that he's making man-won per an hour. It's going to be the most exciting moment, and he's never going to fuck up that job. It will be basically the best Arbeit in Korea, because nobody in Korea makes man-won an hour at an Arbeit, right? It will be like, whoa, oh my God, this is great. And because he's so stoked about it, he's never going to just call and go like, I quit. He'll absolutely never do that. 0% chance of that. Not only that, when he's working, especially like on a weekend, or whenever he's working, he's going to be super awesome, super kind. He's going to listen to every order. He might just do things like above and beyond that you don't even ask him to do. He might like find a better way to organize stuff. He'll do all this great stuff. He will be there every day. He'll be there early. He will get shit done. He will never quit. That's almost a promise. I know I'm exaggerating. That's fine. But trust me, if someone's making man-won an hour, they're going to be super happy about it, right? And then I think maybe you could run the cafe a little different, where like, okay, by yourself during the day on a weekday. In the evenings, maybe have that guy come in, I guess. Maybe he could run it by himself because he's making man-won an hour. He's really excited. He'll work super hard. Maybe you don't even need to come in the evenings, although I know it's probably a good idea to have a manager there all the time. And then on the weekends, maybe just the manager, her, my friend, and him by themselves. You got this one guy who's busting his ass because he's making man-won an hour. He's not going to fuck around. maybe it could just be her, my manager friend, and the new workers making man-1 an hour, and they could just do it by themselves and still do a pretty good job, because my friend is doing a good job because she's the manager, and managers have to do a good job, and he's doing a good job because he's making man-1 an hour. And then instead of paying 2 people man-1 an hour to do work that maybe one guy could kind of do by himself, you're paying less and getting kind of better output. So I explained all this to her, and she was like, wow, that's a good idea. Sounds good. I said, cool, do you think you'll ever try it? And she said, no. And I was kind of like, okay, that's interesting. Okay, someone has a different opinion, that's fine. I said, why not? She said, that's not how it's done. We don't do that. Like, we don't do that. In Korea, you pay an Arbeit worker minimum wage. You pay them 6,500 won or 7,000 won. That's what you pay them. That's how it's done. And I was shocked, like, well, okay, I mean, I get that that's how it's done, but here's a new thing that maybe will provide you a new opportunity. You can try new things. And she said, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. And actually, she was quite American. She lived in America for like 3 years and went to an American college. And still, she was just like, no. And that's, in my idea, that's in my thinking, that's Korean stubbornness. Korean stubbornness is kind of just, that's not how it's done. And that's okay. That's like a fine argument. Like, just saying that's not how it's done is Korean stubbornness. Let me take a moment to explain exactly what I mean by stubborn. Let me define it. Stubborn is when you kind of know you're wrong, but you don't care. Or be more exact for the situation. You kind of know there's something you should do, and there's a good reason you should do it, but you don't really do it. Maybe because you just feel uncomfortable or whatever. You just say like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I think in Korean culture, it's very easy to be stubborn in that way, because the way that's tried and true is tried and true. So like, keep doing that. Don't take a risk and be weird. Like, that might fuck up in your face. And that's sometimes good, right? Maybe my idea, if she had tried it, really would have fucked her up and really fucked up the cafe, and all this bad stuff would have happened. I don't know, honestly. I'm not trying to be humble here. This is true. But I'm just trying to explain how I think Korean stubbornness works, which is just, that's not how it's done. Done. But the American style of being stubborn is usually through argument. Even if the argument is really weak, put up some argument that can refute the new idea. So even when the 2 people are doing this, a lot of times when the 2 Americans are doing this, like, we know that one person's just being stubborn, and they're not arguing because they really believe their way is better necessarily. They're just arguing because we just argue a lot, and then they just kind of find a little detail that like shows that they're kind of right. Even both parties know that person's not exactly right. And then that's how we're stubborn. We do it through argument. Now, this has a really good upside for Americans, because let's say I'm very stubborn. My friend brings his idea and I say, I don't like it. We argue, but then I find my little way to get around it. I find my little detail that means like, okay, I won the argument, even though I didn't win the argument, but it satisfies me enough so I can be stubborn and do what I want to do. And then that guy leaves. And then I could think about it a little bit. I could think, well, maybe he was right. He had some good points. I'm going to listen to him. I'll never tell him that I'm going to listen to him, because, I want my pride. I don't want to tell him that he was right, but I'll give it a shot. And then I end up trying new things. So that's kind of the advantage of the American style. Whereas Korean stubbornness, there's not that much arguing, so it's just kind of like, that's how the person just says, that's not how it's done, that's not how we do it, and then game over, and you never think about it again. So Americans have that advantage. There's definitely a disadvantage to the American stubbornness, and I will explain it through my personal story, through my YouTube channel, which is a long time ago. Like, I've been trying to be on the internet. I've made a podcast. I've done a blog, and it's usually around Korean culture or something, or teaching English, or it's always been kind of like in the Korean sphere. I didn't know exactly what to do. I tried these different methods, and my Korean friend just said, like, and I've always wanted to do, let me just say this. I've always wanted to do something kind of different. And I know I'm the millionth 외국인 to do a Korean a YouTube for Korean people. So I know that's not special, but I wanted to do something. So I was really just resistant to the idea of doing YouTube at all. especially in English. But my friend would just keep telling me, he's like, man, why don't you just do a YouTube channel in English with Korean subtitles and see how it works? Like, you've got pretty good ideas. What you're saying seems kind of interesting to Korean people. Why don't you do that? And then I immediately went into my defense mode, what I've been calling American stubbornness mode, which is I'm going to make this argument and I'm going to get him. And he kind of argued with me too. And his points were good and made sense, but I could find a little detail which is like, no, that's already been done, and nobody's going to watch my video because, there's a million other ways we can do that, so I'll just lose and it won't work. That was me being super stubborn. And the disadvantage of the American style was because I made an argument, I thought I was correct. I made the argument, and it's not that I won the argument, it's just that I didn't completely lose the argument. So I'm okay, and I'm going to continue going my way. That was a huge mistake. I should have made this YouTube channel 2 years ago, 3 years ago or something. And I never did because of my stubbornness. And because it was specifically this American style of stubbornness, I felt very confident that I was correct. I'm not saying that the Korean style of stubbornness in that situation would have worked better. In fact, maybe it would have worked better because Korean style of stubbornness is usually stick to the old way. And in this day and age, the old way is just making a YouTube channel. So maybe I would have said oh, okay, that's the old way and I'm going to do that. And then I would have made a YouTube channel. I would have succeeded. Maybe. I don't know. But there's definitely a weakness to the American style of stubbornness. But there's definitely a strength to it too, which is, like I said, I think we end up trying new things a little bit more because we make this argument, and the argument kind of sits in our head, and we could think about it and then maybe change our ideas a little bit. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you hate this video, give it a thumbs down. If you like me or if you hate me, give me a subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook. And that's it. So have an awesome day.